Welcome to Tech Film Noir, from cult classics to cinematic chaos. We ask what holds up and what falls apart when it comes to tech and our beloved sci-fi classics. Because when the movie guesses the future, we check their work. Tech Film Noir, Tech Film Noir, Tech Film Noir. Hi everyone, I'm Lianne Potter, and with me today
Jeff Watkins.
Hello, I'm Simon Painter.
And we are your resident tech geeks, film buffs, and professional overanalyzers. And we have got a doozy for you today, something I've been looking forward to, something that's near and dear to my heart, the 1984 classic, misunderstood maybe, because it didn't do so very well at the box office, The Running Man, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Like I say, it's definitely exactly what you expect it to be honest, from a mid-80s Arnold Schwarzenegger action film.
I thought you were going to say, is it what you expect it to be, like a Arnold Schwarzenegger workout movie or something like that.
I can kind of see that, to be honest, yeah.
The Likely Jogging Man. 90 minutes of how to get into your stride with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It could be a sequel to Pumping Iron. You don't know. He's gone from weights to cardio.
And he's wearing Lycra running gear all the way through it. So absolutely, this is... Actually, considering the number of geeky running apps that exist in the world, we need a Running Man-themed one with an Arnie sound-alike telling us to, get into the chopper or whatever.
It's all fun and games until, like, Pokemon Go, when somebody accidentally goes into a construction site and gets killed or something.
Absolutely. So, The Running Man, 1984 dystopian action film. I absolutely love it. Everyone all seems to know that it was actually written by Stephen King under his pen name, Richard Bachman. I'm sure Simon will go into this because he's been doing extra credit, ladies and gentlemen, listeners. He's been doing his research, he's been doing his homework, so he'll tell us how much it's going to be different from the book. But the basic premise is it's 2017. We're in sort of economic collapse, resource scarcity, and the United States has become a totalitarian police state. And to keep the masses from rioting, there's a popular TV show called The Running Man. It's state-controlled, and basically incarcerated criminals have to earn their freedom by surviving as runners against some stalkers, which nice, loads of colourful characters. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Ben Richards, which is one of my favourite names that he has, only kind of bested by John Matrix in Commando, which is the best name ever for a character, not just Arnold. And yeah, Ben Richards, he has been deepfaked and cancelled from seemingly murdering lots of innocent people. So he gets put into prison, he escapes prison, but then he's quickly put back into the Running Man game where they think he's going to be very bankable. And here is a trailer for us to catch up on that.
In the year 2017, an innocent man accused of a crime has a choice: hard time or prime time.
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
He must pay or play the Running Man.
On your mark.
I'll be back.
Go!
It's a game between life and death. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Running Man. He's playing for a prize. The prize is his life. The Running Man.
Actually, a rare example of a trailer that looks vaguely like the film you're about to see.
Which is good. So, right, we've seen the movie before this.
Oh, I don't even know how many. I couldn't even tell you how many times.
Yeah, once or twice. I'm pretty sure I saw some repeats of it, sort of late night on Sci-Fi channel back in the 90s when I had cable.
I saw the cut version for the first few times I saw it, so it's quite heavily censored in the UK up until maybe the late 90s, early 90s. So when I first saw it, it was very heavily edited.
Oh, wow. I don't know which version I saw. I mean, I saw Ava. Goodness knows. I mean, it's not the most graphic film I've ever seen ever. No. I mean, it's not even as bad as Total Recall, which Arnie made a year or so later. But in keeping, of course, with a mid-80s Arnie film, he does say, "I'll be back" at one point. Because I looked it up, I was curious, this is the third time that catchphrase was used.
On your marks! Get set!
Killian,
I'll be back. Only in a rerun. Go!
And it's used well though. I think it's used more effective than in Terminator. So come at me comments.
I'd actually agree that this is a better use of it than more iconic use of it than Terminator, because I think I don't know, in Terminator it almost felt like a little bit of a throwaway line that somehow became a thing.
Kind of
Whereas
was,
here,
apparently.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's a thing, and there's even like a rebuff. He says, "Oh, the guy says only in a rerun," which is a great comeback to it.
I think if I'm looking at all of the annals of Arnie one-liner, I think this movie might have some of the best Arnie one-liners.
So, obviously, full disclosure. Yes, I read the book before we started on all this, and I'm not going to go into that very much. The reason being that, by and large, the only similarity is the title. I mean, that's not entirely true. He's also called Ben Richards. There is a game show which he is invited to be part in. He takes part in. He volunteers in the book, unlike the film where he's dragged by the scruff of his neck to go and take part. So he's not an army guy at all. He's just some guy. He's just some working class guy. And he's got a wife and a daughter who's incredibly ill, and they've got no money. He quit his job because it was basically leaving him sterile, because it was like there's radiation and stuff. So he signs up with the Running Man, knowing that it will kill him, because the assumption is that everyone who takes part in the Running Man dies. There's none of this mythical 3 surviving guys like there is in the film. You just assume you're going to die, but you get heaps of money. The film takes place in near real time. The book, on the other hand, takes place over about 2 months, and he's allowed to be on the run anywhere he wants in the world, on the proviso that he drops video clips, almost like TikTok clips, once in a while, which will be played to the live studio audience. Otherwise, it invalidates his reward money for his family. So there you go. There's a whole load of very angry stuff about class politics and racial politics, and there's a lot of stuff about the working class versus the middle and stuff like this. A very angry book, and the ending is quite grim. Unlike the vaguely optimistic ending of the film, the ending gives you nothing. The book, it's a grim, angry, politically charged book. I think it's very good, but don't go into it thinking that you're going to get the deeper version of the film. It is really, they barely resemble each other.
Unless you are watching the film that comes out this year. It's a reboot, isn't it? It's not really a remake, because it's not a remake of...
Yeah.
It's based on the book, so...
I've seen the trailer, and it looks closer to the source material, but without actually watching it, I don't know how close it actually sticks to the source material. It certainly looks closer, which might be entertaining. Who knows?
It's hard to say. I mean, the book as written is an awful lot of him finding someone who's sympathetic and hiding in their apartment while the unknown people eventually catch up with him once in a while. It's almost unfilmable as written, because there's not much action in it. It's more about
Try telling that to Edgar Wright.
To be fair though, Scott Pilgrim versus the World was deemed as being unfilmable as well.
Well, I should say at the time of recording, listeners, we have not seen the Edgar Wright film yet. And all the best to them and their endeavours. But The Running Man has a special place in my heart because it was one of 3 VHSs that my parents had in the big box style. And we had one of the sort of top load of VHS players. So this got a lot of play in our house. Because back in the day, you just watched films over and over and over again because we didn't have that much choice. And it was really expensive to get a new film.
What were the others?
Terminator.
Oh.
Yeah. And Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh.
The music video. So, because the music video is actually really long and it has a making of, so it's got John Landis in it and things like that. It's really, really good. Yeah, they were the 3 VHSs we had.
That's an interesting trio. So Terminator, The Running Man, and Thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why not?
And I watched those all very, very young.
Yeah, my parents unwisely let me watch Akira when I was far, far too young. And yeah, let me say, I did not eat properly for a few days afterwards.
It's a bit too confusing for a youngster as well. It's not a very easy watch. Not necessarily because it is quite harrowing in places, but it also I find it quite confusing film when I watched it for the first time.
I haven't had the nerve to watch it again. Yeah, I'm probably going to watch it again and think, oh, this is no big deal, really, or something. I don't know. I did rewatch the end sequence because a friend bet me to once, and it was fine. But at the time, as 8 or whatever I was, I can't remember. Yeah, that was pretty harrowing stuff. But anyway, The Running Man.
Yes, let's get back to The Running Man.
Film itself.
Which opens with some of the most delicious, mouthy font I've ever seen.
We get like 3 fonts in the space of 5 minutes. But really nice.
I'm all for it. I'm living for it. Why aren't computer fonts all like that now? Every time I try and do like a presentation slide deck and I look for computer fonts, that's what I'm actually after, but it doesn't exist.
Nice. I actually played the ZX Spectrum computer game as well because I just like to go another step extra, and they do a fairly reasonable recreation of the fonts and fonty animated opening sequence of the film with a ZX Spectrum and the 48K version. I mean, it looks a little shunky in places, but for the mid-80s, that was great. And there's even some synthesized Arnie actual film dialogue in the Spectrum game too, which is quite impressive.
Oh, I like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's him saying, "I'll be back," just as the game loads, and then you go into the shooting down on the shooty things on the rails sequence. And then, because all of that took so much memory, you now have to turn the tape over and actually load the game on the other side. Yeah.
Prices we paid. But I think, sort of tangentially related to this, we were talking about video games also. There was quite a famous video game that was in the arcades at the time called Smash TV. And the Smash TV crosses the streams a little bit, sort of 80s and 90s film. So it's basically you're in a studio, you're somebody who's playing a Running Man style game against loads of stalkers, and you win things like toasters, and you can just see there's a brand new VCR in the top corner, and the presenter comes out with quips, including Total Carnage, I love it, but also one not from this film, but from another very famous film, saying, "I'd buy that for $1." So very fun game, well worth a play if you play it on any platform. Really, it's good on all of them. It's a Robotron style twin stick shooter.
It actually looks pretty cool. I might go track that down after this.
I
actually thought the film, to me at least, had a bit of a 2000 AD feel to it.
Mm.
The sort of the weird combination of grim, dark, ultra-violent SF and ridiculous social satire. And the very heightened characters and all that. I'd say it's almost more 2000 AD than it is the actual book it's based on, tonally.
It feels like the Paul Verhoeven film that wasn't a Paul Verhoeven film. Not
Very
quite
much,
got his
yeah.
visual, not quite got the level of directorial flair, but certainly enough satire and tongue-in-cheek to make it feel like a lesser Verhoeven movie. This is why I think if we're pairing two movies together, Total Recall and The Running Man are actually a great pair of, like, this is movies that unfortunately just don't seem to be quite the same quality anymore. Old man shouts at cloud moment.
It also gave me a bit of a They Live vibes with this kind of dystopian narrative. And I know, like, no aliens in it or anything like that, but that kind of idea that people are struggling. That's the crossover, same universe. Yeah, that's what everyone in the studio is actually one of the aliens from They Live.
It kind of makes sense. My favourite bits were where we really, really lean into the satirical bits, and you had like little old ladies in the audience who were jumping and cheering and cuddling the host, and then being presented with a copy of the Running Man board game and stuff. And I loved that stuff. Was all lovely. I almost wanted more of that. I think I'd have even enjoyed it if it went even more over the top into just how absurd this world is.
We were discussing that last night, weren't we, Lianne? As in, this movie is relatively tight run time. It's like 1 hour 47 or something, but it does such a good job of universe building. I wanted a bit more of it. Like, you can actually see they do shots of the kind of the poor people, the middle class, the upper class, but it's very subtly done. Like, and they're quite quick, and we don't go into that whole power struggle between the three of them. We kind of we show it and it's filmed, but we don't go into any of that. We don't go into, like, there's some satirical adverts. There's one satirical advert for another violent game show that was filmed but never included in the edit, and we get the kind of the Mr. Motivator style exercise videos. Well, it's like there's so much universe building but not enough time dwelling on some of it.
I'd love to know how many people picked up a copy of this thinking it, like I say, it was a genuine sort of Arnie fitness video, but then when they saw the Captain Freedom's workout, I wonder how many people actually do the Captain Freedom workout.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready for Captain Freedom's workout.
Yes, it's America's own Captain Freedom.
It looks really intense. It's very Jane Fonda-esque, which I'm all for as well. But I think, this film could have done with being, I would like another 15 minutes. Like maybe one more Stalker or something like that, or a bit more backstory. And I very rarely say that about films being longer. But I liked this universe. And I was really surprised to read that it didn't do very well at all.
I was just listening to another podcast the other day that talked about the making of it, and this was a troubled production. They went through a lot of directors in a short space of time, and originally this was going to be a piece more like the book that was going to star Christopher Reeve, and that would have been. You can't imagine Christopher Reeve in what we've got, and to be honest, I can't even quite imagine Christopher Reeve as the book guy. The book guy is really antisocial.
But Christopher Reeve is used to wearing those very tight leotards.
Well, this is before they'd gone with the sort of full-on game show theme that we got in the film as it is. The guy in the book just wears whatever street clothes he can get, so it would have been a completely different film.
I've been enjoying watching all the moose knuckles that appeared in The Running Man. It's just so full of moose knuckles and camel toes. Like, I think the design of those costumes are fantastic. Adidas did a brilliant job, and I would love to have one just for walking around in, like a pajama set. But it was unforgiving in the groin area. Moose knuckles abound.
I kind of like that our female lead was openly Hispanic as well. I don't remember that being a thing. I mean, there's no issue with that at all, especially like these days. It's really not a problem. But back in the mid-'80s, they tended not to feature non-white male actors almost in a lot of stuff. And here she is, not only being Hispanic and also speaking Spanish in some scenes and so on. That's pretty good. There's not many. I don't think there's a lot of films of that time that would have been quite so good in their representation in their casting. And she's really good in this film.
Yeah, I think almost everybody's good in this film. I think the casting in general is really good. And it's not just the Arnie show. Richard Dawson's fantastic.
He is. He's really good.
He really just chews the scenery. I love it.
But I think the actors seem to have a fairly good idea of what sort of a film they're in, which is great, because you have to. This is the sort of film where if you're not grabbing the scenery with both hands and taking a chunk out of it, you're not doing the film the way it needs to be done. This is a ridiculous this is the exact film that you imagine when you think of cheesy 80s action films, isn't it? You can't kill someone without having a one-liner quip and all the rest of it.
It's good for the soul. It's like a nice bowl of chicken soup. Very good for you. The tech in this is really good as well. Did you see that little segue?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Is this the first film to feature deepfakes as a fully fledged concept?
I wouldn't like to comment. It's certainly the first vaguely mainstream film, I think. Not that it is kind of in the book. In the book, it's just audio dubbing, not what we get now, which is literally deepfaking, where they say they've got themselves another actor, like a stuntman, who they do kill, and then they sort of transform him into Arnie in one scene to make it look like their guy has totally killed Arnie when he killed someone else. It is literally deepfaking the way we'd understand it. Although you got this kind of funky little digital net that goes over things to show off just how digitally it all is, which, obviously it wouldn't really do. It just give you the end result. But that's fine. The audience need to understand what's happening.
Well, I did read about that they had to actually film a scene where Arnie and, what's the female character called?
Well, the actress or...
Well, no, who she plays.
Oh, yeah, Amber. Yeah.
Amber. Yeah, they had to actually put a scene in where Amber and Ben Richards are watching that happen, because the audience, apparently, when they tested it, there wasn't that scene there. They thought they'd actually died. And so they had to put in a scene where they were watching going, oh, they've killed us off, like that.
Right.
Because the way it was originally filmed, they didn't have that scene. And the audience just thought, oh, they're both dead. Where's this story going?
Well, deepfaking was not a thing back then, so that would make sense. I mean, I saw a really old film once, which was one of the first to feature a voiceover to indicate someone's thoughts, and they actually had to explain it on camera before they did it, just so that no one would get confused. And it's commonplace now. Same with deepfaking now. So this I don't think anyone would struggle to understand deepfaking now. But back then, yeah, I bet it wasn't. Computers were well off being able to do that sort of thing back in the mid-'80s.
A little bit of trivia for you: when you see the deepfake from the scene where Ben Richards dies, that's played by Arnold Schwarzenegger's stunt double, who is the monster in Reanimator. He's the first monster in Reanimator that comes to life.
Nice.
And it was only just because of the joys that is now HD video that I was like, oh, that's the same actor. As well as spotting Franco Columbu for the first time when we watched it yesterday. I was like, I've watched this film more times than I could say, and I never noticed that Franco Columbu had a cameo in it, which is really sweet.
Maybe I want to explain for some of the audience who Franco Columbu was, just in case people are thinking about the TV series.
Yes, so Franco Columbu is a bodybuilder, features very heavily in Pumping Iron, and is Arnold Schwarzenegger's best mate. Unfortunately, he did pass a couple of years back now, but lovely, lovely chap. Was known for lifting up cars, just like Arnie did.
Wow.
It is a bit of a beefcake around this, because Sven Ole Thorsen is in this, as well as the bodyguard, who was also in Conan and a bunch of other movies. And of course, Jesse the Body Ventura as Captain Freedom. Quite the beefcake movie.
It kind of, if you were saying about needing some extra time, and actually he is one character it would have been interesting to see a little more of, because it does feel like there's something in his backstory that we've not been privy to, because he's the one stalker that just says, you know what, I'm done, I'm out, bye-bye. And I almost expect him to pop up again at the end of the film or something, either even if it's just to congratulate Arnie on winning or something. But he just walks off and that's it. We never see him again. And that's about halfway through the film or so. I would have liked to have seen more of that.
Yeah, there definitely should have been a scene where, because he's like, I'm not going to do this, and he walks off, and then they just deepfake him as well. I'd love to see a scene where it's just like, that's not in my contract. You're not supposed to deepfake me. I want rights and royalties, and like a big kicking off scene there.
It does almost feel like a bit of a Chekhov's gun, or he ought to pop up and maybe in the last scene and kill one of the execs or something that's about to kill Arnie or something. There should be some payoff to his walking off.
Absolutely.
And it feels a bit like maybe there is a deleted scene somewhere that would explain that. I don't know. But it does feel a bit like a plot thread that just sort of disappears.
It's such a shame, because everyone I speak to always loves that character as well.
Well, he seems to be the one guy with any integrity there. So, although I do love the opera singing, electro shocking guy. He's probably the most fun of all of the stalkers, because he's just a walking pile of absurdity, and I like that. I would have liked more really ridiculous stalkers like that. I'd more of that.
That was his real singing voice as well. He was an actual opera singer. Yeah. He died. He died a couple of months after filming, unfortunately, at the age of 34.
Gosh.
Yeah, very young. But his LED, talking of the tech in films, is absolute cutting edge tech. His LEDs on his suit were red, green, and yellow, because blue LEDs weren't invented until 2 years later. That's why there's no blue on his actual costume.
Oh my god, that's amazing! I didn't know that. He's also one of the grimmest of all of them in many ways, because I mean, they don't exactly spell it out, but the way he's intending to treat Amber it's pretty rough. That's awful stuff. So he's arguably also one of the very worst of all of the guys.
He also wears Y-fronts.
Yeah, that bit that was the bit I was pretty confused by when I first saw it.
Yeah, so he's already a wrong un. If you're still wearing Y-fronts these days, think about your life choices.
Or be like Superman and wear them on the outside.
Maybe that's why Christopher Reeve was just like, yeah, I can't do this if I'm not going to wear my underwear on the outside. Too used to that now. But the deepfake itself, like, used to the effect of that whole thread of misinformation, controlling the narrative and things like that is done so effectively. So it could have been really hokey having that scene. So the film opens up with the original scene where Ben Richards says, I'm not going to fire on people. And then you see, everyone calls him the Butcher of Bakersfield. And then you see that footage where it shows he did fire on everyone. And it's done really well. The cuts, and it's how you imagine it would play out, but with the dialogue is cut in such a way that it sounds like he does say, yeah, I'm going to fire on everyone. Then it gets replayed again, so that kind of reinforcing of like, this was very easy to do and it changed people's perceptions entirely is very, very interesting.
Well, it's something that folks have been worrying about for quite a lot of years now, because the technology to do this to the point that it can actually pass, we're not far off it. I mean, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's still possible to detect using various other bits of software whether something is a deep fake or not at the moment. But I know that the ability to deep fake is improving all the time.
I went to a talk in Munich about 2 years ago, and it was some chaps, and they tested all of the deep fake software, and every single one of them failed. Not a single one of them could detect it, and it was really obvious as well. Like there was like a break in the jawline and stuff like that. So yeah, these tools are just pretty shoddy.
Hasn't a new Chinese model just launched showing even more advanced deep faking? There's things like you can hold stuff in front of your face. You can also shine light on your face, and the lighting is and you can pinch your face, and it'll do all kinds of things, and it still accurately deepfakes that happening to your deepfaked face. And if it's anywhere near as good as the demos suggest, we're getting to the point where yes, the fool in the hurry will not be able to detect it at all soon.
In the early days, my advice was, just start off like you did in primary school, which at PE time when they said, put your chin on your chest and roll your neck around and around like that to test the deepfakes. But apparently that don't work anymore.
No.
I'll be honest though, the thing that worries me about deepfakes isn't really so much this scenario where we're being presented with incriminating evidence against someone who's innocent, like in the film. What I worry about is going to happen is actually not the use of the deepfake, but the politician who's going to say, do something really horrible on camera and then say, that was not me, that was a deepfake. That's the sort of thing that really worries me.
That's called the liar's dividend.
Okay.
It's actually a concept for that. And deepfakery, when it gets sufficiently good, enables the liar's dividend. Because, up until recently, if you were caught on video with an audio doing something awful, you'd just go, there's no way out of this. But now you can just go, that's deepfake, which is troubling.
Well, it's a bit like a certain American president who declares anything that isn't what he wants reality to be fake news. Well, if you can literally do that because there's against video even, then that's scary possibilities for people in power getting away with some very, very horrible things, which, fair enough, they do now and they have been for millennia, but still, it's another way for them to do it.
It's more about the sort of emotiveness of it, isn't it? So it's one thing to read it and get wound up, but then go, let me have a think about that. But when you're watching a video, because human beings react to the sight of another human being, it implants something in your brain that's very hard to shake. And if it's convincing enough, it's very hard to forget that that's not real.
That's a good point. If Arnie was this guy and we were presented with fake video after fake video of him brutally shooting people and knifing people, even if you kind of thought this is probably not true, you're still going to have a visceral fear reaction if you see him in real life, aren't you? Because you've seen that person apparently do all these atrocities. So I can imagine that. Even if you can see through the fake, it's still going to be an issue. It is scary stuff. We're not quite there yet. We're not quite Running Man yet, but I think we're at the point where we can almost see it from where we're standing.
Yeah, thank God, because I'm really unfit for the last 2 minutes. But there's another thing in the very sort of opening shots, going back to the lovely tech in this film, which it's very mouthy, this tech. I just want to put my hands all over it and touch it and play around with those keyboards. The helicopter has a little display screen and it shows a really nice overhead kind of 3D polygon cityscape that I really enjoyed. It gave me very much a flight simulator vibes to it, which I really, really enjoyed. I just love seeing just very tonally square, regimented 3D computer graphics on there. I thought that was really pretty.
Who knows, but I bet that was probably hand painted as well, because most of those sort of funky wireframe display things back then, it was far cheaper and easier to just get yourself a professional artist to paint every frame of that than it was to make a real 3D thing. Whereas these days it's a trivial matter to throw one of those together.
Yeah. We also, I think it's becoming quite a tradition nowadays for the films we review, has a really nice synthesizer in it as well. Everybody in that era had really nice synthesizers. And I thought when we were discussing it yesterday that it was maybe like an electric piano, but it's not. It's a modular, advanced digital FM sort of piano organ that is used quite a lot in real performances. And even it was one of the early ones to actually have, I think, the ability to record on board as well. It's really, at the time, quite top of the line stuff.
Yeah, perfect for doing the corporate jingle. For your dystopian TV show. Everyone's pretty well spirited though. Like even the people, the very poor people seemed very high spirited. They were a bit unclean, but they all seemed very happy. And no matter what kind of so the audience, you kind of have this middle class vibe to it. But they all seemed pretty happy. Obviously, the people inside the studio behind the walls and stuff were extremely happy, but the poor people didn't seem that kind of downtrodden. Maybe this sort of dystopian state isn't so bad.
In the book, it's actually the working class people who are the ones that don't go along with the program and end up helping Ben along in his journey, whereas the middle class, as you say, that are watching the film and cheering along while the TV cheer along as he's villainized in front of them.
That sounds very 1984 then, isn't it?
Yes, it wouldn't surprise me if that was an influence. And on tech, by the way, I have a couple of video clips I took of some of the other interesting tech that I saw in the film. So first off, there is some fantastic home automation. So just for context, you see it come in and like turn on the lights, and I think there's a heating and stuff like that just by speaking to it.
Loads of IoT devices.
Absolutely.
But also very, very lax approach to security where you can get in the door using the same combination code from the previous occupant.
I mean, when I remember renting ages ago, you'd still have the same passcode. Your landlord would say, "This is the passcode for the security code." Would you change it?
Well, I might in this case, because I looked at Arnie's fingers as he types, and the code is 445566. I would totally change that code.
It was pretty bad, but all the codes are pretty bad in this. There's a lot of shoulder surfing in this, both as an audience and as an actual. It's a plot device.
Yeah, the way they escape at the beginning of the film from security is literally they watch the guard typing in the password, which is displayed in clear, and so that means now all of the prisoners have got the code, the password to turn off the security device, which they do. That's not good security. But this is not that sort of a film.
Access denied screen, which this has become such a trope in these films that we've been watching. Love an access denied screen.
It is a good one, although the answer appears to be just keep trying until eventually computer says yes.
Well, it reminded me of the dueling ukuleles.
Banjos, yeah.
Banjos, sorry, the dueling banjos. They reminded me of the dueling banjos because they were both just like trying to stop each other from getting in. So there was the prison trying to escape, and then the prison guard like stopping them, and it was like
it was fun. That was a proper classic 80s slightly nonsense as you say hacking scene. And another bit from that same apartment, and ordering flights off the internet. That's the thing.
Yes indeed.
The Infonet, yes.
And again, looking really good. I really enjoyed the sort of ease of that. Travel cards, we're talking about in the UK introducing digital IDs. Is it going to be something a bit like that, maybe?
Possibly. Although it's kind of astonishing how lax the airport security is that Arnie can just basically walk through with the minimum little bit of effort to socially engineer his way through. It's sort of, this is a big hassle, can't you just let us through? Yeah, sure, you're clearly not a terrorist, giant, muscly Austrian man. And through he goes.
Absolutely. You don't want to get that man away from his pina coladas, not in that shirt.
It is quite a shirt. That is probably one of the shirtiest shirts I've ever seen Arnie wear.
Oh, it gave me Twins vibes and Junior vibes.
Yes.
It's very much, and the people just want to see Arnie in a Hawaiian shirt, I think.
Actually, is this possibly the first instance of Arnie doing any level of comedy? Because the only two big films I'm aware of he did prior to this was Terminator, of course, and Commando, which it's got a little bit of humour peppered in, but this feels a little more like, this is still an action film, don't get me wrong, but there's a little more comedy for Arnie to do in this compared to some of the previous ones. So I wonder if this is the beginning of the idea that he has more to him than simply being the Terminator, which does lead into things like Twins and so on, as you say. Kindergarten Cop.
Unless you count Hercules in New York as a film.
I was going to say, some people might say he's always been funny, but probably for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I've seen that film. It's a trap. Don't watch it. Although if you do watch it though, watch the version where it actually has Arnie's voice left in, because it's just so much funnier.
I mean, I'm just looking at his filmography now. Like, he's quite funny in Raw Deal. Like, not intentionally, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, he's definitely not funny in Predator. Just such a great film.
I mean, like there's some great gags in Commando. In fairness, like I thought you'd kill me last. I lied. That's great stuff. That's funny.
better not open that can of worms around me with Commando, honestly, because that's all we'll be talking about for the rest of the.
There's not enough tech in that film or Predator really to.
No.
There's not. Although if you have
the similarity of having a very short passcode is the same for Predator as well.
But that's just the 80s. That's just the 80s and security. I mean, it's laxes or what's it?
I mean, they always go on people used to be able to remember telephone numbers. We had a better long-term memory for numbers and things like that. So you'd think that everyone's passwords would be really, really hard. No, doesn't look like that. If we're basing on these films, those passwords are not very hard. Detonating collars. Has our technology improved since then?
Possibly not. Oh, that's a bit of an old sci-fi trope going way back. I remember that being used in an old 70s Doctor Who at one point. But actually, if we're talking about security lax issues, then the ultimate plan of the film for our guys, once they are inside Running Man, is to basically hack it from the inside and up and take over the whole process from inside the Running Man thing. And it does occur to me that this Running Man like terrain, this scenery, this studio that we're putting our people in, according to the logic of the film, these are criminals, these are filth and scum that we're piping according to their logic, and we're pushing them into this place, which is also the one place we could completely take over the whole operation from. This seems to me to be a security flaw, or at least some sort of design flaw in the system.
Well, I have to wonder from how they talk about the show itself. Is there much watchability in the show? Because it seems like if you are a participant in this show and not one of the stalkers, that you are severely disadvantaged. You don't have any weapons or anything, and you're just kind of thrown in there. It seems like people just last like 2 minutes. I can't imagine people getting past. Well, they don't, do they? Because everyone's so shocked that when a stalker dies, because it just doesn't happen. So nobody ever wins. Like, I don't know, the show seems kind of boring.
I guess they don't talk about what the other win conditions are, because there was the previous season's 3 winners, I'm using inverted commas, and yet no stalkers dying. So did they manage to survive long enough? Did they manage to get to some zone where they could escape? They didn't ever explain that piece, but those 3 winners who were living on an island afterwards.
I'm guessing those videos were
just how are you doing in quotes on a podcast.
We can hear it in your tone of voice, but yeah, and I guess that those clips were probably deep faked as well, because spoiler, turns out that the winners of the previous season were all dead and inexplicably just left around to rot in the studio.
Yeah,
I the only thing I can think of, and it's I was wondering about this too, like what's the game here, other than watching the stalkers chase someone and shoot them or something, is the very first stalker, the guy that's themed around ice hockey, he doesn't kill them right away. He knocks one of them into like a goal thing that swallows him and traps him. And I wonder, I mean, this is probably doing far more thinking about this very silly 80s action film than probably anyone else ever has. But I mean, was there perhaps meant to be some sort of game element to this where it's like, trap these guys and we're going to herd them around here and there's an escape, but Arnie shortcuts this all by just killing the stalker straight up, which no one else has ever thought to do.
Yeah, I feel like there's some other parts of this game, because of course everybody's herding them into each zone. You see there's loads of kind of bit part players just on motorbikes and things, just herding them into particular areas. So we never really get a lot of detail on what the game itself entails.
I would have loved to have seen it as more like Crystal Maze, but with death. That would have been very entertaining.
Let's do this Crystal Maze reboot. Yeah, let's Crystal Maze Running Man crossover. Let's get Richard in and do it again.
Yeah, it's like you do it. You're trying to solve the puzzle, but at the same time, there's concentrated battery acid pouring all over everything. It's going to disintegrate the whole room unless you solve it in 60 seconds. I want to see that.
I'd buy that for $1.
That would be very entertaining. I mean, not for real, obviously. That would be monstrous. But I mean, as a film.
I guess the other thing about this film is it's a couple of other ththings. First of all, like the internet, but also like the idea of almost like a dark web, because he talks about the people's network, which is more of a TV thing, but I also think it's more of a network thing. But also like a very early reality TV. Because reality TV, I mean, it's probably been around a little bit before then, but reality TV was a very radical concept, because the sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the film, Shock Treatment, was all based around reality TV, and it just bombed when it came out because people just didn't get it, because it was too strange because we didn't have reality TV.
No, I agree. And I suspect Running Man was probably inspired more by game shows and things like that than what we would consider reality. And if you see the audience, it's very much like an 80s American game show audience. And I think that's probably where their inspiration came from. But you're right, 100%, that's exactly where television went into the 90s and beyond. Maybe not the killing people bit, but the idea that we're going to get these people on and basically humiliate them by getting them to do awful things and putting them in situations where they say ridiculous, stupid stuff to be embarrassing on camera, that's 100% a thing. It's not, other than the killing bit, it's not so different in principle to Running Man, which is all about enjoying the pain that this person's going to go through.
Which is why I really like the Climbing the Dollars one. I'd like to see that because I like dogs. I like dollars, and I'd like to see those two things marry up.
The only other game that we ever get described much in the book is one where someone with a heart condition is separated out when contestants are coming in and put on a treadmill, and they get money for the longer they go. And the idea is that we're waiting to the point that they get a fatal heart attack while on the treadmill. So there is an implication that Running Man is just one of a whole suite of horrible game shows that exist in that world.
And again, I'm so thin. We won't be waiting long. I do nothing on these shows.
No, it is surprising just how much of this has worryingly come true.
Well, we'll get on to that in a moment. But I do want to give two other shout outs. One to another trope that I really enjoy that we've been exploring this season, which is the one finger typing. There's lots of lovely one finger typing action in this film. And the other thing that I really enjoyed that I didn't really notice before, but the masks of the guards they remind me of the Spaceball masks in for Darth Vader.
Oh, and can we also have a little shout out for the musical stars who are in this film? Mick, of course, is played by Mick Fleetwood. And it's sort of implied he's literally Mick Fleetwood, because I think there's a throwaway line where he talks about the government not liking his music or something. And obviously that's meant to be ambiguous because it doesn't entirely make sense, but it's almost like he's playing himself here. And one of the other guys is Dweezil Zappa. It's one of the other the younger one who actually storms the building at the end. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that leads nicely into the question, what aged well about this? And one of the things is that Mick Fleetwood actually looks like that now. So they actually, with the old man makeup, did really well. So when you look at what Mick Fleetwood looks like in the film and what he looks like today, it's exactly the same. So well done, special effects artist on that one.
It's a good makeup, actually. I mean, it looks very convincing, which obviously it does. Yeah. No, I'd say that the artistic work on this film. I mean, the directing work is fine. It's perfectly fine. And apparently the director was given something like 2 days to prepare before they started filming. So
do you know who it was as well? The director is Starsky.
Really?
Or Michael Glazer. Yeah, Starsky from Starsky and Hutch.
Wow.
So he wasn't even really much of a film director. So I think he did a bang up job given the circumstances.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it was written by the guy who wrote Die Hard and Commando.
Oh wow! I can kind of. It does have a similar vibe in many ways to Commando, I'd say.
Yeah.
So,
including a really banging soundtrack. I listen, normally when I'm doing work and things like that, I'm very cultured. I listen to a playlist on Spotify called Classical Bangers, which is just full of classical music. But today I thought, well, I've really enjoyed that soundtrack, and the Running Man soundtrack is really nice to work to. I really recommend having that on in the background. It's really chill.
Nice. Would you recommend going for a run while listening to the Running Man soundtrack?
I've told you this before. I'm really unfair. You will not see me running.
Nice. Actually, come to think of it, though, the plot of this film has some remarkable similarities in some ways to Johnny Mnemonic.
Doesn't every film? Everything we've discussed lately.
I mean, that's fair. I mean,
7 degrees of Mnemonic.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Pride and Prejudice a bit ago, and I thought, you know what? No. But I mean, in that we've got a totalitarian, all-seeing baddie who's after us everywhere. There's a sort of the underground rogue hackers who are planning to broadcast the truth to the world. There's a few. It might just be a cluster of cyberpunk cliches, in fairness.
But instead of putting it in your brain, you have your data stored on what, to me, in my childlike brain when I was little, was after 8 dinner mints.
Yes.
I was convinced that when Amber is going through to find behind the original Ben Richards. When I was little, we had after 8 mints at Christmas only. And I just remember the luxury of going through the little sleeves, little black sleeves, and thinking, oh, she's just going to pull herself out an after dinner mint. And it was only when I was an adult that I realised, no, that was the data set.
And she doesn't hide it in her brain either.
And
No.
now someone correct me if
Should
I'm wrong.
put after 8 mints up there anyways, either.
Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the mid-80s, and everything is digital in Running Man world. It's specifically marked as digital video. This is digital. Everything's digital, which, of course, because with the deepfakes working, that makes sense. But mid-80s, correct again, I might be wrong, but wasn't everything on film in those days? Digital video wasn't really a thing back then, was it?
Don't think so. No, not in any sense of word, because digital cameras didn't really exist back then. Not beyond like very simple affairs. You couldn't get ones for actually filming things. No, not that. And I think they were in the late 80s, early 90s. The very most basic ones, not suitable, because the first film to be shot digitally was Star Wars Episode 2. I think, or one of the first big films to be shot digitally using and the cameras weren't good enough. So yeah, the idea of capturing stuff in digitally is quite radical for the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I remember having my first digital camera in 1999, and that was a 1 megapixel camera that stored its photos on a floppy disk that you popped in the side. It was pretty crude stuff. So I'd say they're well ahead of the game with the idea that everything in Running Man world is stored digitally, which is totally accurate.
They had like CDs and laserdiscs back then. Like that technology was around.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just kind of saying this is
Yeah.
a shrunk down version of this.
Funny thing though is laserdiscs are not digital, despite being on an optical disc that looks like a CD. CDs are digital. Laserdiscs are an analog medium, despite being optical. They're actually an analog signal. Yeah, music. I think digital music came along before digital vision did, which is interesting because I think we got recorded images before we got recorded audio for some reason. Like photography happened before Edison figured out how to do the whole recording drum thing.
I mean, considering that, of course, this is a Hollywood film, it probably isn't inconceivable that these guys were working in the industry and knew the way everything was likely to go. Because this is meant to all feel a little bit near future rather than this isn't Dune off in the mega distant view. This is meant to feel like this is just over the horizon. So they were probably just extrapolating where they thought we'd be in about 10 years. And they weren't wrong in a lot of cases. The digital video as a default may be a few more decades away, but
So
it's
it's set in 2017. So I guess question we always ask is, did it predict the tech well?
And before we say, by the way, the book is set in 2025.
Oh God!
I know. Actually, true. Gave me a shock when I heard that. But yes, the question: did this predict the tech? By and large, in a strange way, yes. Although also they need to fire their security consultant and maybe hire you two folks at this evil TV organization because their security's worth nothing.
Well, so then it did predict the future well then. Look, security breaches, dark web, reality TV, deepfakes. The 2017 maybe not so much. They weren't far wrong, frankly. There's not much else in the movie that's particularly outlandish tech-wise, but it's actually quite prescient.
Yeah,
And
I'm
the
still
idea-
waiting on the kind of collars though. So that's not happened yet. Maybe one day.
And the central premise that you can pacify an unruly mob of masses by giving them spectacles. I mean, that goes all the way back to who was it in ancient Rome that talked about giving the people bread and circuses. So yeah, that's basically true as well.
It is kind of in a way, but also the fact that none of us watch the same content anymore. So I miss those days of being able to say, did you see that on TV? Because nobody did. Nobody watches TV at the same time anymore.
No,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's the. I think that was the bit that I think I found interesting. Like, yeah, I did note that down. It's like, oh yes, they haven't heard of YouTube yet. That in this future.
Yeah, Running Man is clearly being broadcast live, and basically, as I say, most of the last 2/3 of this film happen in real time, near enough. Maybe with the odd cut, but it's close to real time, isn't it? We really do see the fall of this entire TV-based civilization in the course of about an hour.
It'd be interesting. Like sometimes they do films where it actually is proper real time. It would be good to see if that fits.
Yeah, it's also problematic. I mean, I saw 24, which I enjoyed the first series of, but that had to go to some strange extents to try and keep an awful lot of plots spinning and keep up the 24-hour concept.
So I never watched it. I always thought it was a very interesting concept. Do you see people go to the toilet?
No. And you also don't see anyone sleep. It's pretty much just sort of hand-waved that every character in this has failed to sleep for about a day or two. And yeah, it's with The Running Man, if that was in real time though, this is only what, like an hour or so?
No, yeah, nobody dumps in The Running Man. That's a flawed film.
They probably
Because you're Pooping Man.
Pooping Man.
They clearly gave Arnie a little bit of a toilet break before he started.
Well, you know, she sort of triggered a memory anyways, not of pooping, but, you know, wearing an outfit like that, you're going to have to, if you need a wee, like any ladies listening and wearing jumpsuits and things like that, if you need a wee, you're going to have to take that whole thing off anyways as well. When I looked at the moose knuckles, there were no zips at the front, so yeah, you're going to have to take the whole thing off. Oh, I'm reaching around trying to pull that zip from your back. That's going to be a right nightmare. Yeah, this outfit's not feasible.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. It's a bit like that old Kenny Everett sketch with Spider-Man going to the urinal and suddenly realizing to his shock that he has no zipper.
Yeah, exactly. Flawed. This film was so flawed.
Well, they probably weren't meant to survive long enough to need another toilet break. I mean, based again on what Jeff was saying with how shocked everyone is by the death of a single stalker, I don't think anyone's expected to live very long. I mean, the other alternative is that they've got another couple of buckets of prisoners waiting to go in, and every time the one lot of prisoners dies, they just empty another bucket of prisoners.
You've seen Nightmare, haven't you?
Yeah, I love it.
Do you think any of those kids really survived? I think they were just, like with a lot of the weird shit that happened in the 70s, 80s, and 90s on TV, they were hiding in plain sight. Did anybody check people's parents to see if they got home okay? I don't think.
Well, this is the only thing actually then now missing for that. We need Treguard popping up in this film saying, "Ooh, nasty," when someone has a particularly violent death.
Someone do a supercut of that, please. That'd be really, really good. So yeah, I guess we're all in agreement. It kind of predicted the future well, at least a future we can see happening very, very soon, with increasing probability. AI is going to take all our jobs, so people are going to want really handcrafted content, and that will probably involve literal pounds of flesh being ripped off. So likely. Just like to, sometimes we talk about films that like this film ripped off, or films that later on ripped this off. I want to give a shout out to a film that maybe we'll do on this, but it's very, very similar. A film called Wedlock with Rutger Hauer, 1991, which is set in a prison, and all the prisoners have these collars on. However, you are paired up with someone in the prison, but you don't know who your partner is, and if you try to escape, you'll both set yourself off, and hilarity ensues. I do recommend it. It's on one of like the cheap free movie channels that you'd have to subscribe to, like Tubi and stuff. I enjoyed it, and Rutger Hauer.
I think they're on the run for a lot of it, and one of them's a man, so it feels a little bit like it's a kindred spirit kind of movie. I think good Sunday afternoon pairing if you got time for two films.
I'm just trying to find which title is, but someone recommended a film to me recently. Apparently it's a French film, but apparently it's got a similar premise in that someone's real suffering is turned into TV, although I think it's a cancer diagnosis in the case of this film. And one of the doctors has basically got a camera inserted behind his eye so that everything he sees gets recorded and eventually turned into some sort of entertainment package. I haven't seen it myself, but I will give it a look and see whether it's worth us giving it a go. It's called something like Death Watch or something like that, and unfortunately I cannot find the name, but watch this space. I'll have a look around that one.
Let us know in the comments if you know what that is. And also, I guess Death Race is a very similar kind of premise. That's a TV show, isn't it, where people are chasing each other. Yeah. Dystopian, killing each other and getting points and bloodlust and all that really good stuff that we like in our films.
I love Death Race 2000.
I've actually never seen that, although I believe that was one of the films that inspired the look of Judge Dredd, going back to the 2000 AD references again.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
It's only like 80 minutes long as well. It's like really short. It's very fun.
Nice.
And that's got Stallone in it, hasn't it?
Yes, it's got Stallone in it in a big role, I think. Absolutely
full of pairings to this film. So if you want to get your two heavyweight titans, your Arnies and your Stallones together, watch The Running Man and Death Race 2000.
I think I might have to go and do that. Sounds like a nice way to spend the evening.
So that is our show, and I guess, would you recommend watching this?
Well, I can guess what your answers will be, and I'll let you give them in just a second. I would say with a giant caveat. Yeah, broadly yes, But this film is exactly what it looks like and what you'd expect it to be. It's a mid-80s action film. The characterization is nearly nil. Every character in this is more just like however much personality the actor can bring rather than being an actual rounded character. There's hardly any story. It's great fun to watch, and it is, but like when you compare it to something like Strange Days, which is a really superlative film in terms of deep characterization, all that. This is not that. This is a great big dumb action film, and if that's what you're after, I'd say go for it. Just grab it and enjoy it, and maybe have a few beers while you watch, but just don't expect it to be Shakespeare.
Jeff?
I think absolutely. I think I'm a little bit more positive on it being big and dumb, and the actors having a lot of fun with it because they've got good actors to do, and very actors full of character, like Richard Dawson, like Jesse Ventura, obviously like Arnold Schwarzenegger, even the female lead, all having a great deal of fun with the movie, and that is just it's just a great watch. It also, there's very little of it that I'd say slows down or is boring, because it's not that long movie, and it just keeps along at a clip. So yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's not Citizen Kane.
No,
I agree, but it's an awful lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. And it's also quite well put together as well.
Oh, yeah, it's the sort of thing I remember enjoying with a bag of chips and a few drinks when I was much younger, sitting around with the family. That's exactly what this film is, and like you say, it's a chicken soup of 80s action films.
Yeah, it's good for what ails you. So I like it. It's young, dumb, and full of puns. So I'm really pleased with this. And as per the usual, you've hinted there, Simon, of a pairing, but every week we talk about the films, but we also talk about what we would pair this film with. We give you a little bit of food and drink culture with these episodes. So, The Running Man, 1987, because I'm going to have to start saying that now, because some people will be looking for the new film. Hopefully, if you are here because of the new film and you like what we're talking about, do like and subscribe. But yeah, pairings for The Running Man. Who wants to go first?
Well, I actually struggled with this one. I really struggled because there's no food. I don't think we ever see Arnie eat anything, probably because, again, real time, but I am going to go with taking inspiration from the attempt to fly to Hawaii. So I will go with a pina colada and some of those, and just for the 80s cheesiness factor, some of those little skewers with cheese and pineapple on it.
Perfect.
My choice.
Sounds good to me. Jeff?
I think given the dystopian background, I'd have said maybe a nice Soylent Green, but I think actually, no, we already have that in present time. So I'd say a Huel bar and a can of Cadre Cola, because it really hits the spot.
And for me, I need to score some steroids.
Right you are.
Thank you so much for listening. This has been The Running Man, and this has been our show, Tech Film Noir. Let us know in the comments what you think of this film, what are your memories of it, what tech do you like about it, and what tech do you want to see in the future from it. All good things to hear from you. But for now, ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Julian, I'll be back.
Only in a rerun.